You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers. Bramble, what's going on, man?
Hey, Pat, it's Bramble. Once again, I'm calling in the middle of a podcast, between the middle of your thoughts. So I'm probably going to say something that you're going to cover in about a minute in the show.
That's fine.
I just wanted to bring it up. You're talking about testing the best player available system as far as signing Banks and drafting Belton and drafting, who's it? The other guy, Morgan. I am giddy that we have this level of talent on the offensive line.
Yeah.
At least the potential of having backups on the offensive line that can come in and actually play on the offensive line and not let us down to get destroyed at the end of the year when we have injuries, bro. Please let Belton and Morgan be very good first-round pick players that have to be on the bench, because that means we have a great problem. And we're going to have a great solution to injuries later in the year. So I am excited that Walker is holding it down. He needs to cut down on the penalties. And we're good. All right. I'll keep listening for you to say exactly what I just said, because that's usually what happens. All right. Bye.
Well, I didn't say that, but you're right. It is a good problem to have. It's still, I don't know. I guess if nothing else, it's not going to be viewed historically as a successful first and second round pick if they're backups. But if we leave that aside, grading on a curve, the fact that we not only have a very good offensive line, but have all the depth we'll ever need so that that's not going to be a problem, you're right. That is an incredibly good problem to have. That is champagne problems or whatever they call it. Nico.
Hey, this is Nico. Just finished your After Dark where you had the new song in the end that you said goes hard. I think that needs to be you need to incorporate that song somehow in After Dark every time. That song's amazing.
Thank you.
So keep up.
The only comment I got about that song, I had a text message saying that song was weird. I was like, what? Like, am I crazy? I thought that song was awesome. By the way, been a couple bangers lately. That Brett Favre song and last night, dude, that Brett Favre song is awesome. I was listening to that, and I'm like, man, I'm going to have to make highlight videos. I don't want to have to spend my time doing it. But it is a waste to not make a highlight video with Brett Favre. I mean, I could just rip off somebody else's video, I guess. I don't think they would take it down from YouTube. They would just give the other person credit, which is fine. It just feels like there needs to be a video with music on my YouTube channel. That's what needs to happen.
It's a good, obvious. Your songwriting skills are so elite now that you can single-handedly, just with your talent alone, make a song like that. It's amazing. So, no, seriously, that was a great song. Just do something with that song all the time. Bye.
Yeah, I liked that song a lot.
Howdy. So this is James, the Uber from Texas.
So,
I'm sure you've seen the new jerseys. They are fire.
Yes.
I feel like they're pretty good. I don't know how you're going to feel about them.
Yes.
They got that leather painted on look. I love it. It's great. Anyways, everyone have a good night. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, like I said before, I usually don't like any throwbacks. Unless it's, like throwback to the 90s. The Buffalo Bills have like their red helmets again, and it's like, that looks cool, But when you try to, like the Steelers Bumblebee outfit, the Packers with the brown helmet or the yellow helmet and the skin-colored, I mean, that was just atrocious. It's all so bad because it doesn't look authentic. It's just stupid colors. So to be able to do the actual, like, airbrush to create a design that is awesome on the helmet. And as I said before, I'm all for, if you want to do an alternate, doing like a futuristic alternate, I think that would be amazing, as opposed to, whatever. But either way, either go back, and the Packers don't have an interesting like 90s throwback. It's all very, I mean, kind of, but it's so similar, it wouldn't be anything interesting. Like I said, if the Tennessee Titans did the Houston Oilers, or the Buccaneers, putting that old Buccaneer with the orange, on the helmet, that would be awesome. Bills going back is cool. Some of these things are fine, but this was the first time I've seen like a historic throwback that wasn't completely stupid and in fact was awesome. And I would go so far as to say this is the coolest throwback that has ever been. I know that there was one other time, I think they said Tampa or something did like an airbrush on the helmet to try to give it like a leathery look or something like that. It wasn't this cool. And yes, I know Illinois did this as well. I pointed that out a long time ago, so you don't need to tell me that. I know that. Simply talking about the NFL. The college has done some pretty wild stuff for sure. They got multicolored football fields, for crying out loud. But yeah, I'm all about it. And even they come out with like the new swag, all the new hats and shirts, and even the designs. I've seen some people buy like shirts and stuff that something about it, I'm like, that actually looks really good. Like something's going on, man, because they're nailing it. I'm usually, I shouldn't say I don't like it. I either don't like it or I'm completely indifferent to a lot of this stuff. But I'm looking at stuff like, man, that looks really good. Like I'm not buying it, but I would buy it. This helmet, which apparently costs like $1,600 to buy, I would 1,000% buy the helmet if I had the money. Some of the shirts and stuff that they got look real good. So I'm impressed. And again, it kind of just goes to, I don't know, I feel like it'd be cool if you guys would put in a little effort, and it just doesn't feel like they ever do. And now they're just like, all right, fine, we're going to crank it up to 10. What do you think? And it's like, yes, please. Is there an 11 on that thing? All these little, it's like Madden, we're going to do like a tiny minor little tweak and then do some big unveil and be like, what do you guys think? It's like, it's stupid. I don't know. What am I supposed to think about that? There's nothing interesting about that. It's like, how do you like the new alternate jerseys? Like, how is that different? It's like, well, we got rid of one of the stripes. The what? I didn't even know we had stripes. I'm not, dude, are you kidding me? I'm a guy, all right? I get yelled at because I don't notice my wife getting haircuts and whether she wears glasses or not. I don't know these things. You can't just remove a stripe and say, see, it's different. I don't know. What stripe are we talking about? We changed the font for the numbers and the letters. Shut up, idiot. Just keep it the same if that's the kind of stupid nonsense you're going to do. Drew from Green Bay.
Hey, Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay, and I wanted to respond a little bit about Jordan Morgan. And, I feel like he gets treated a little unfairly sometimes, where people talk about him as a backup a lot, but really, he was the starter last year.
I know.
He just got injured right away. And
he will be again. He's going to win that job. Probably the right guard job, it seems like right now. Because again, my thought is Belton's going to end up being a backup, and Rashid is Rashid. So, and I don't necessarily mean that long term for Belton. I just mean for this year. It seems to me that Rashid is going to keep that job. Morgan is going to be the right guard again. And then, we'll have Sean Ryan and Anthony Belton and Monk and all those guys. That'll be our backups, which again, feel real good about the backups. But, we'll just, the big question is, can Morgan be better than he was starting to look last year, which wasn't super great? That'll be kind of the big thing. So hopeful that he takes a big step. Because, I mean, really, if we or I get out of my little pity party here, the upside of Morgan being a really good right guard, next to Zach Tom, who's a really good right tackle, next to Elton Jenkins, who I think is going to be a very good center, next to Banks, who I'm skeptical of, but at least he's got a higher floor than some of the other guys we've had, and got paid a bunch of money because the Packers think he's going to be very good, especially in regard to helping us in the run game, who's next to Rasheed Walker, who at least is a very good pass blocker. I mean, this offensive line could be phenomenal. And a lot of that really just comes down to, can Morgan win the right guard job and play like a first-round pick and be good at that job? And then there's a question down the road of, can Belton become so good that he can take one of these jobs down the line? And you know, who knows? Maybe it's just a matter of, well, I don't know what we would do then, but I mean, Elton's getting a little bit older, so at some point he's going to have to go. I don't know how we shuffle things around. I mean, I don't want to move Zach Tom to center. That would be a disaster. Move Zach Tom to center and Belton takes his job. Is that the the short-term plan here, and why they don't want to pay Elton, because they're planning on moving Zach Tom to center and Belton to, I shouldn't say such things.
So, you know, it's, even though he doesn't have much experience at starting, that was what he was going to be. And
yeah,
if you want to throw it into a negative framework, you can say, well, he was just a backup, but really, like, the guy gets injured, the guy gets injured.
No, yeah, I mean, Morgan wasn't a backup last year. He got the starting job. I guess what I was just really referring to is, as a first and second round pick, you want them to start. And I would prefer Morgan is the left tackle and Belton is the right guard. But again, it seems to me that Morgan is going to win that right guard spot, and it's a question of, can he be better than he was last year, which, you know, is an unfair critique because we didn't really get to see him much, but in the little bit we did, there was nothing really knocking your socks off. And then the real negative would just be Belton, but, you know, he's a rookie, and it's a massive group. It's kind of like Rashawn, where it's like, well, you know, he was just number 3. It's like, yeah, but that's not a Rashawn problem. That's the other two guys in front of him are way too good to be knocked down a peg problem. So, yeah, we got to keep things in that context, I guess. But, you know, it's just one of those things where you kind of have expectations of not only how good they're going to be, but how much production you're going to get from them. And that's much higher with first-round picks, which, again, I think he is going to play. And then second-round picks are also, there's just kind of an expectation that you're going to play. But maybe that's a little bit unfair, because right after the second round is the third round. We've had a bunch of people, like a linebacker right now, that is not playing. We've got a wide receiver that is probably not going to play. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares. It's not a big deal. If they end up playing down the line, it's whatever. You know, so we got some late second-round picks that need to be elite day one, but third-round picks, who cares? It's a little silly, you know? I don't know.
And, you know, I think it's kind of... More recently, the Packers have been using their rookies a little more, but the long-term strategy for the Packers has been to ease in our rookies, and so we'll see about Anthony Belton, but, you know, because I do think one of these guys should be able to beat out Sean Ryan, but, you know, losing out to, say, Rasheed Walker, like, there's no shame in that. Rasheed Walker's a good tackle. So the part of the plan with these guys is to replace Rasheed Walker, I think, if it doesn't work out. But if we can't re-sign him. But I would not expect anybody to beat out Rasheed Walker going into this season. That's more of a next year thing. So
well, and then the question becomes, is the reports that they're looking to pay him real? Because if that happens, then again, we're kind of in the situation of, I don't think, you know, again, from the negative side, we drafted a guy that doesn't have a path to the roster in the second round, which is crazy.
I just think that some of our young offensive linemen are being treated a little unfairly with the narrative. So anyways, have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, and I think the last comment I had would be the biggest question is, should you draft early a guy that doesn't have a path to the roster, to a starting spot? That would be kind of the question, and I'm not saying that Belton doesn't have a path. I'm saying I don't know if he does, and the Packers would have a better idea of that. I mean, if they legitimately want Rasheed Walker to be replaced, then okay, that's one thing. If they're legitimately looking at Elton being kind of a short-term, he's going to be gone pretty soon. Maybe Belton or Banks is seen as a short-term signing. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, obviously Morgan is not short-term. Sean Ryan is not short-term. Zach Tom is not short-term. I don't know. If the main point is, if you're looking at Rasheed as a long-term option and you want to lock him down long-term, and you paid Banks, and you see Elton as at least short-term, as in 2 to 3 years, he's going to be your guy at center. And Morgan is going to be your guy for 10 years at right guard, and Tom is going to be your guy for the next 5-6 years at right tackle or whatever. So you've got an offensive line for a minimum of 3 years, and after that you've got your guards and tackles secured for the next, let's say, 5 years. And Belton is not going to play center. I mean, you're drafting a backup in the second round. So, and I'm not saying that's what they did. I'm theorizing, if the Packers feel this way, that would be a tough sell to me. If somebody came up to me and I was the GM and they're like, Belton is the top guy, we should take Belton. And I'm like, he has no path to the roster. It's like, yeah, but the board says Belton. I'm sorry, I'm getting away from the board here. I just am. If we have to trade back to stick to our strict values of how the board works, then that's fine. Otherwise, we just take somebody else. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. I don't know how the Packers feel. I really don't. And it's, I'm not judging anybody based on how good or bad they are. It's just an interesting thought experiment, I guess, as to what do you do if X, Y, and Z. It would be like wide receiver. Let's say Golden is your guy, and he becomes a top tier number one guy, and you got Romeo who's going to be with there in Wicks, and so you have these guys established, and they're not going to be moved from their spot. How high do you draft a wide receiver? Kind of a silly question, because you could say, well, you could have 2 number ones that would replace Romeo. Okay, I guess that's fair enough. Safety, then. Would you draft a safety in the first round, knowing that your top 2 guys are locked in, they're not going anywhere? Would you draft a safety to be a third safety, which we don't really use, so he would be a backup safety? Maybe you would. I would not. I would not draft a quarterback in the first round. Yes, I understand how valuable quarterbacks are. But you know what's not as valuable? Backup quarterbacks. They're valuable. They're not first-round pick valuable. Starting quarterbacks are valuable. Backup quarterbacks, significantly less valuable. If you want me to prove that, I can. Look at the value added for backup quarterbacks throughout the season compared to even terrible starting quarterbacks. Terrible starting quarterbacks are more valuable. They provide more value to teams. All right, let's take our first break. We'll be right back with Beer Cheese Benny.
Hey Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny here. I'm calling in because I saw the Packers' new throwback jerseys, and they are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And I saw your tweet. You said, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says either. And also, can we freaking realize that a throwback is not supposed to look good and be cool and all this?
Yeah.
It is. The point of it is it's a throwback. We're trying to honor the past. Why?
Yeah, that's where that's why the futuristic would be cool, because the futuristic is let's make it as cool as we can. The throwback is to how can we make it look as realistically old as we can. And if you look at like the old helmets, they don't look super cool. it's cool that it looks like a throwback. You know what I mean? But it's not like some awesome design or anything. It's a freaking leather helmet.
Yeah, people get this through their freaking head, man. And they look great, though. So I don't know what kind of crack they're smoking to say that they don't look good. I think they look great, man. I think they're... Honestly, I've never really hated any of the throwbacks that we've had. I mean, probably the only one that I really didn't like, and it was probably because of the helmet, was when he had the Acme Packers, like the blue jerseys with the circle, like the yellow circle on the front. I didn't think that looked very good. But even last year's were cool, dude. Like the green ones. What was that? The 50s throwbacks? I like that, man. But again, the point of a throwback is not to freaking look cool and look awesome and be this new, amazing. Like they're literally wearing it like one time, maybe two times. Who knows? But gosh, man, it just really pisses me off when people don't get that through their head. So, anyways, man, I saw Nate Hobbs. They were interviewing him, and he said something about he's like, you know, the gap that we have in Super Bowls, like, man, that's got to change, and like that's not the Green Bay standard. And you know, he's right. But you know what? The thing is, I mean, it's hard to do, man. We need guys to do the right thing and play good. But also, Gutekunst too. You know, he kind of set that standard of that gap because of not doing certain things and what he's drafted. So, you know, I just hope we can close that gap, man, and have a 2025 on the next to the Jumbotron there at Lambeau Field.
One of the cheesy. It was funny. There was a interview with Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary, and they kept asking Rashawn Gary stuff. And that guy he's like a robot, man. He is programmed to be a machine, which is a good thing. But trying to talk to him he just spits out team slogans, and it's just the same slogan over and over. Like every question, he kept saying the same thing over and over again. But like one of the lame things that players and coaches or whatever would constantly, the standard is the standard. Like, okay, you know, all right, good one. But yeah, the standard is the standard. That's what you're shooting for. It's what everybody's shooting for, is to go get that Super Bowl, you know, because it's the standard.
Hey, Ryan, Dennis from California.
What's up?
So, Chris Long, the former defensive end, edge rusher,
Yeah.
he was on Kay Adams, I would say probably 3 weeks ago, but I don't think I talked about it, but he went on and his job was to do a power ranking with Kay Adams, and what ended up happening, he thought it was a defensive ranking, right? And
Was it that, or was it Mina Kimes? Because I just watched exactly what you're describing, but it was with Mina Kimes.
And ended up on the fly having to go and do their power ranking. All that's just background of what that was about. It's decent. She's decent, right? Like, she's talking heads, but she's slightly better than the rest of the talking heads. I don't know. If you like it, go watch it. I don't know. Not a recommendation. Just if that's your jam, go do it. If not, go do it. But Chris Long, he was talking about different offenses and like physical teams. And
yeah, that was Mina. I know exactly where you're going.
He had gone to almost every team in the NFL. I don't know if this was last off season or if it was minicamp, but he said specifically there was only one team that matches the size and matches the physicality from the practices they watched on the offensive line, and they said that was Green Bay.
Yep.
What would you?
Yeah, it was a great line. I actually saved it to do it on the podcast whenever we have a moment. But that definitely, because I was watching it, I was kind of getting annoyed because he kept dropping the Packers further and further down the list, and I was like, oh, come on, man. And he wanted the Texans higher, and he was buying all in on the Texans and the Packers. I mean, the Packers are like, I don't know, they were top 10 somewhere, but I was just kind of generally annoyed, but yeah, he went into it and he's like, talking about how they're a really physical team, which he really liked. And I was like, oh, that's cool that he even noticed that, because obviously if you're a more casual observer, you assume that they're the same team they've been for a long time, which is a not physical team. You'd have to be kind of up close and personal and really know what's going on with these teams to know that there has been a shift in the last year that's taken place with the Packers to make them more physical. But yeah, he's like, we went to all the, and he even said he was surprised for that exact reason. But he went to all the training camps. He said the Eagles are kind of on a tier by themselves as far as how big and how physical they are. He said, but he was shocked to see that the only team that could get close to that kind of, as far as matching that level of physicality was the Green Bay Packers, and that surprised him. And that surprised me that he said it, because it's, we all feel that way, that they've become more physical, and we also felt like we were the team in the playoffs that actually could match that physicality. Again, the offense played like crap, but generally speaking, as far as the offense and how it has been, and the team overall, the defense physicality, we felt like we are the team that has that, or at least played with that level of physicality. So to have that level of confirmation from an outsider that is not a Packer fan, that even said he was surprised by it, is very cool to get that level of confirmation, I guess.
Me goosebumps is, if that was last year, just think about that. If that was him last year, and then going into this year, we have, I would say, calculated improvements. All right, just upgrading Josh Myers, good center, good snapper, just an all right actual lineman. But we get Elton. If Elton can snap to even if it's slightly below Josh Myers, because Josh Myers, we never had any snap or fumbling issues, right? So if he could just be average at snapping but maintain his blocking, right? Big guy, 6'6". Aaron Banks, massive human. You got all the people that are competing for right guard, massive human. I'll just say his name, Anthony Belton, massive human. We have all these just massive human beings that are physical, and if Chris Long, a professional player that knows what physicality and all this stuff looks like, and knows what a big line looks like, if he's saying it, I'm excited, because we doubled down this year, and we're really committed to that, and that's why I think we made all these line moves. Whether Aaron Banks is a better pass blocker or a better lineman or not, that's besides the point. It's about an identity. It's about a playing style, and it looks like the Packers are committing to it. So I'm excited. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, committing to it, and it's paying off. It's one thing to say we're going to do it and to try to do it. It's another thing to immediately, within a year, become like the second most physical team in football. It's quite an achievement. Let's take our final break. We'll come back. We got Mel from Brookfield.
Hey, it's Mel from Brookfield.
What's up?
Was at the day one of training camp, and really I just wanted to keep my eyes on Golden. And I don't know all the terminology, but they were running a something where it would basically run 5 yards, turn around, and catch the ball at the goal line.
Sure.
And it was left, basically catching the ball to the left. Well, Golden completely ran the wrong direction. But what was so awesome was he reached back to his left and caught the ball, just plucked it out of the sky. It was awesome, but it was low. Just seeing him do that so effortlessly, his hands look
that's awesome,
fantastic. I try not to get too excited about it, but just watching him, I was like, dude, that looks awesome. That's what we need, and that's all I got. But training camp was amazing. Took the whole family. It's such a great thing to go do. It's free. Went to Kroll's for the first time. I'm a food guy, but went to Kroll's for the first time. Pretty mid. I got to be honest. It was pretty mid. Everybody, the whole family, we were like, yeah, it was just fine. It was just fine. I had the famous prime rib sandwich that they're known for. It was fine. It was mid. So that's it. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I don't want to judge Kroll's from afar when I've never been there, but I I remember when I was hearing all about it, and you go look at all the pictures, and be like, "Ooh, I bet this looks." And it's kind of like, I guess I don't know. It doesn't look good, but who knows? You never know. The quality ingredients or something maybe kind of could make up for that, or I don't know. But it's good to get an honest review. Beer cheese, what's up?
Sturgis Benny! Caleb Williams! He sucks! Now, a lot of people with Packers fans are going to say that in training camp, and obviously we already know he sucks, but now we really know he sucks, because Ben Johnson's trying to go in there and be all big wiener in it, and being all like, yeah, dude, you guys better freaking shape up, and you're like yelling at him, and Caleb's like, I just want to paint my fingernails and hug my mommy. And, yeah, dude, but Packers training camp's looking good, man. Looking like Nate Hobbs is like a dog, dude. That's what I don't know. I was just listening to your podcast, and I listened to Andy Herman talk about day 2. And, man, it just seems like Nate Hobbs, there's going to be a lot of apologies from Packers fans saying, oh, our corner room is so weak. If he ends up being, the dog that I think he is based on so far what I've seen and heard.
It's gone well.
Matthew Golden
Valentine
just got
too.
a great ability in open fields, like to just make guys miss and extend plays. And our defense, man, when they were doing like 2-minute drill or whatever, they won every time, man. Some people are going to say, well, that means the offense is bad. Well, or our defense is really good. I mean, I don't know. I can't be mad if our defense is really good, dude. I really can't, because it might take the pressure off the offense, man. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. Obviously, the offense needs to improve, and we need to be better. But if the defense can do, a lot of stuff, it's going to make games a lot easier for Jordan Love in this offense. I mean, they won't have to score a whole lot. Remember, all the Rodgers days where our defense was so bad, man? We would have to score 40 just to win because they would give up 35 or something like that, 31. So, anyways, go Brewers. Let's win a World Series, and then have Packers win the Super Bowl. That would be
I didn't even know that was a thing. I'll have to start tuning in a little bit once the Brewers get a little bit further. The only thing I know is that the World Series happens in and around my daughter's birthday, because one of the only times I watched it was when I was in the hospital with my wife while she was delivering the baby, and it was our second kid, so I was much more laid back, and I was just like, I'm just going to watch TV. Nurses absolutely hated me, which, I mean, for some reason, women just hate men when other women are pregnant. It's a very weird thing that happens. All the women in my wife's family, they'll come over and they just scowl at you for some reason, Like, what? I thought we were friends. I don't know why you hate me all of a sudden. Nurses come in, they're like, just you're the man. It's like, okay, whatever. But I cared significantly less about all the scowls and everything else. I'm like, I'm just going to watch TV. I mean, if my wife needed something, I'd get it for her, but we're just hanging out, It's a long process. I'm not going to sit there and rub her feet for 20 hours, all right? But should be, what would that be? 3 months until that time-ish? So I'm guessing we're not to the playoffs yet, are we? No, October 1st. So they must just be playing well, I guess. So it's way too early for me to care. Way too early. I'll root for them, though, when it comes time. Might even watch a game. We'll see. Probably not. Hello? Nothing? Part 2.
Hey, Ryan. This is Levi Danielson.
What's
I'm
up?
technically not a new caller, but I think the last time I called was 3 years ago, or was it 2? When Christian Watson was a rookie. The spring before that, I was at an FCS school, a similar one to Christian Watson. I think we actually lost to them in the national championship that year. Or in the semifinals to get to the championship. But I'm calling in today about another receiver, thinking about Matthew Golden. I don't know if this is ridiculous. When I was doing my pre-draft stuff, and I was watching Matthew Golden, I saw shades of Odell, prime Odell. You know how shifty he was? I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to be great. But I saw open field. I feel like he moves similar to Odell. I think he can stretch the field like Odell. I might be tripping on that. I might be super confused, but I just kind of see shades of Odell with that. But yeah, appreciate it. I'm from Alaska. I don't know. I think I've said that before when I called in like a long time ago. I know there's another guy up in Alaska. But yeah, thanks for taking the call, Ryan.
I'm not mad about that, dude. That's pretty awesome. I don't know. What's funny, everybody only thinks about Odell because of that catch. So you'd have to go back and kind of watch. I mean, you obviously remember, but I'd have to go back and kind of watch how he played. But the funny thing is, you talk about like the catch or whatever. We just had a call from Mel talking about this ridiculous catch that he made and how good his hands are. So you think, well, that's silly because Odell was... No, I mean, I guess they're probably similar size. But I mean, Odell, well, actually, both pretty fast and got good hands and good route runners. And if you try to dispel it right away, I'm struggling right off the bat. Doesn't mean you're right. It just means yeah, maybe. Again, I'm not gonna fight you on it, but appreciate the call, man. Good to hear from you.
Okay, I know it's practice 3. Okay, I know, but it seems Keyshawn, what is it, Hobbs and Valentine, they're all looking good, dude. Don't get too excited. All right, hey, we don't have corners, but apparently these guys look pretty good. I don't know. The entire league said we don't have corners. Like, I would say, because everybody's like, we don't have the one good guy, but we don't have. I don't think they're bad, right?
Right.
Like there's teams that their number 2 corner is like the 70th, 80th ranked player, right? And they have a good guy, but I think all our guys are around 30 probably, right? Look at them. They're performing well in camp, so let's see. I'm excited. Let's go. Yeah. Hobbs can keep it up. Valentine can keep it up. Nixon can keep it up. This is top 3 defense, dude. I'm pumped. Let's go.
Yeah, and among a lot of other arguments I've made, kind of dispelling the whole corner thing, that is one of them. I think I maybe talked about that yesterday or whatever. The idea that even if you don't like the top end, that there's nobody that's... I mean, again, if Bullard ends up staying our slot and Bullard doesn't improve from year 1 to year 2, you could argue we have a bad slot corner. But we don't... I mean, again, as far as Nixon and Hobbs, they might not be premier players, but they're not bad enough for people to be going, oh, we have this terrible liability at corner. Do you guys even remember some of the corner rooms we've had? It is significantly better than what the Packers have had for most of the last, what would it be, 7 or 8 years? Going back to, Randall and Rollins and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's been pretty rough for, remember when we couldn't draft anybody? We couldn't find anybody. We had Ladarius Gunter on Julio Jones and, the whole thing. It was a rough situation. I mean, Jair was kind of like the one outlier that we finally got a good corner. And then when Jair was there and Rasul came back and was good for that, 1 year or maybe 2 years, it was solid. But then Rasul left and Jair was hurt all the time. So it's not like we had sustained success over a long period of time. And again, add in the part where we had probably the best defense overall that we've had in I don't know how long this past year. And yeah, I'm at least willing to give them some time before I crap all over them. Because we have the same group as last year that was actually pretty good. Minus Jair, who didn't really play last year. And we added Hobbs. And again, if we could put Valentine instead of Bullard out there, that is clearly an upgrade. Valentine was a good corner last year. Nixon is a fine corner. Hobbs I put in the same category as Nixon. And by the way, both Nixon and Hobbs are looking phenomenal in camp so far. Not that that necessarily means anything, but it's better news than hearing they're not doing very well. Because even though it doesn't tell you everything, it also doesn't tell you nothing. And no, I don't mean that in the bad grammar way. That don't tell you nothing. It's not telling us nothing. It is telling us something, all right? How's that?
I got a serious question, all right?
All right.
Let's just say the Packers won the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter, right? Let's just say. If that happened, because this is a product of Mark Murphy and just all the stuff, would we say that Mark Murphy has the potential to make it in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I'm not, he navigated the quarterback exchange between Favre and Rodgers and oversaw, almost 20 years of greatness, right? Yeah, 20 years of just about, but if that's the baseline of everything, is he, and it was, I don't know if he needs the other Super Bowl. He got his team to host the draft. He built up Green Bay. I know the national media won't give him that much respect for it because he didn't pull them out of darkness like Ron Wolf did. But he's just a great general manager for the Green Bay Packers. Not general manager, but, president of the Green Bay Packers and a significant contributor to the NFL. So I think he has the standing now to be so. I wonder if the Packers would need the Super Bowl to seal that legacy. Even though he has the one, if they did it again, I wonder if that would be enough to get over the hump and basically put the cherry on top and just have him become a Hall of Famer. I would love that for Mark Murphy. He's a great man, and everything about that guy is just, it's class, and I'm proud of him and just everything he did for us. So, oh man, hopefully Ed Policy is as good of a man as him. So, go Pack, go.
I don't know. The whole Hall of Fame thing to me is, I know it matters a lot to them. I would like for him to have it for his sake because, obviously I think he's done a good job and want whatever he would be happy with, I guess. But I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know where they're at with, what the level of accomplishment is for someone like him to be able to be into the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Do I think he's personally deserving? I think it's really tough because, again, my general standard for the Hall of Fame is that somebody else said it and it made sense, but I'm trying to make sure that it's not overly specific or whatever, but you changed the game. You did things that nobody else had done, whatever. So when you look at Ron Wolf, for example, like you mentioned, what he did for the franchise, it wasn't just the winning. It was going from an era of darkness and transforming them into not only a team that was great for a period of time, and not only was great during his entire tenure, but set the standard for Green Bay Packer football that would be continued for beyond his time and has continued beyond his time. That to me is something where it is Hall of Fame worthy. If we're talking about Mark Murphy, I think we've got a guy that did a job very well. And I think if you look around the NFL, there's a lot of guys that do their job really well. And I don't want everybody that did their job really well in the Hall of Fame. Now, you could add to it and say, okay, but, he, add to his legacy the addition of Rodgers and Love that were able to continue the legacy or, the Super Bowls, which, again, not every team that gets a Super Bowl should have everybody on the team from top down in the Hall of Fame. That's really crazy. I don't know. If we're talking like Packers Hall of Fame, of course, NFL Hall of Fame, I think if we look at his accomplishments, and I guess you could add in, Titletown and all these other things, bringing although, again, pretty much every team's going to have the draft. But if you lay out the accomplishments and then say everybody that reaches this level gets in the Hall of Fame, then I just feel like a lot of people are getting into the Hall of Fame. So I'm willing to be sold on it, but off the top of my head, I would lean toward no. And I'm a huge fan of his. I just think, if we're talking the greatest of the greatest of the great, exceptional, transformative, we might be reaching a little bit. So, all right, I'll tell you what. Why don't we stop here? I didn't even realize we got so caught up. We only have 3 calls left, so get your calls in if we're going to do this again tomorrow. Otherwise, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.